What's good, family? I am Sean Ebony Coleman, and I am your host for the new podcast series, Collateral Damage. Collateral Damage is a bold and blunt podcast series that fearlessly delves into the unexpected, unsettling, and often unseen effects of the political, social, and personal events of today. Join us as we dissect pop culture, explore the rich history of Black and brown people, with a special focus on the queer community, connecting the dots between politics and our everyday lives. We'll dive into the vibrant world of ballroom culture and tackle the hottest topics. I am sitting here in the process of starting this discussion around leadership. This segment is called, But I'm a Leader. You gotta say it in that voice, right? Because you got so many folks that are running around capping about who they are and what their leadership looks like. So I've invited some of my friends, these are really my sisters, to have this discussion with me.
But I'm a leader.
I have Tabytha Gonzalez and Lala Zannell. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure. Long time coming.
Long time coming. Tabytha, take a moment to introduce yourself.
I'm Tabytha Gonzalez. My pronouns are she and her. I am an international educator and advocate, and I'm happy to be here.
And Lala.
And I am Lala Zannell. My pronouns are Goddess Queen Sister. And you can do your research and learn who I am. Today I'm simply just me. I'm here to have a conversation with my brother. Let's get into it.
And you brought our sister Cecilia Gentili. I see.
Always.
Cecilia is always with us.
Always
Looking over us. Today, let's unpack leadership, right? So my first question, and you know, I call myself a professional shit talker. So what we finna do is we finna talk shit, right? But we're gonna educate folks in the process. So we'll have a little bit of fun with it. But we've had these discussions before, and I just wanted other folks to join in on these discussions with us, right? So my first question is, when did you first start being called a leader, and how did it make you feel?
For me, it was a word that was, people just told me, like, you're a leader. And I looked at it like, me? I don't see myself that way. I just simply had to make sure I was getting home safe, my girls were getting home safe, and I had to do that because no one else was doing it,
Right.
No one else cared, and if no one else was going to care about me, I had to care about myself. And what I've learned through the process of this word, leadership, and I use it loosely, that is a part of leadership, because true leadership, it does feel uncomfortable when
Right.
people call you it. It's not something that you should be comfortable or gravitating to use, because it has power behind it, and,
Yeah.
and it's a meaning behind it, and people are looking to you for something when you use that word.
Yeah.
And so I had to learn to be okay with that.
Because to your point, being called a leader or considered a leader, there's a certain part of expectation that comes with that, right? And I want us at some point to unpack that, but I want to hear from Tabytha.
Well, I mean, I echo what Lala is saying around the uncomfortability with being called a leader. And it's not so much as being so uncomfortable, it's just that, why am I being a leader for doing exactly what I know I need
What
to
I'm
do?
supposed to be doing.
I don't think that, and there's a lot of self-prescribed leaders, and people use that word for whatever personal gain that they use it for. For me, I think the first time I was actually called a leader was at the latex ball. And it was awkward, right? Because I had, just came home and I started to do this work. I met this great person, and we'll talk about that later on, who kind of lined me up, and I learned from some very important people. And this work just took a life of its own.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I'm getting an award for something that I inherently knew I needed to do for myself and for others.
And being acknowledged as a leader and getting awards for that, how did that make you feel? How did that aspect make you feel?
See, you could get that's a tricky thing, right? Because if you get puffed up in the moment, right, you want to celebrate, right? You want to be happy that you're being recognized as a leader, but also, like, it's important that you understand that it comes with a responsibility.
It's the total opposite for me. I can't stand awards.
Right.
I'm gonna be honest. I can't. It makes me so uncomfortable, and not due to like but I feel that I deserve because I need no one to tell me what I deserve. I know I'm deserving.
Right.
Because I walk in.
So that acknowledgement doesn't necessarily mean it for you?
For me, I take it because of like my chosen children. I look at my family lineage, my family and community around me. Like, no, girl, you need it. Go get it. My sister always tell me, go get it. Every award I went and got because of my mother, Cecilia, or my best friend, Shea Diamond, I hate them. And I say that because community makes you feel so bad in that process.
Yeah.
It's like the Hunger Games. Why her again? And then once you get one, you're on this pedestal now of like, let's be the first to knock her down.
Right.
Or why is she selected and not me? I've been here longer than her, or I've done more than her. And so it put me at odds against my own community. So even in the space when I come in the room being honored, there were times I went in places I was misgendered and you honoring me from the people who were honoring me.
Right.
There are reasons, sometimes I'm in the room and the room is just so filled with privilege that they just want to write a check and raise their hand. They don't even acknowledge that I'm in the room. And a lot of times when I'm getting the award, before I get to my seat, here comes the auctioneer and they're about to make thousands of dollars off of my name because trust me, my words are going to shift the room.
Right.
That's my gift that God given me. You can't take that from me. But then you're going to tell me 10% of that's going to go to the trans community. So I done sat and did all this work and you done raised all the money for the L and the G. And then my percentage of what I need is so small. And so it becomes, I felt like I was used as a prop to do the heartstrings for the organization, but I never felt respected. I never felt, they never went out their way to make me feel honored. They didn't even give me a bouquet of flowers, nothing. Like I always say, awards can't save us.
Right.
But it's the beautiful part to model it. And so others that look like me say, okay, I am being seen. But I feel very uncomfortable with awards. Still to this day, I do.
So we're in a moment in time right now that leadership, effective leadership, is desperately needed. And you spoke about the trans community and being awarded from the larger LGBT community, right? What does trans leadership look like in this moment, right? And is it enough for us to be able to create these spaces where we're honoring our own, but we're also feeding our own?
Issue I always be seeing all the time is that the trans community has no accountability model. And we're very good at able to go into the White House, going to city council, going to our state reps, going to our neighbors, going to our family and advocating to them on how you should treat me, things you shouldn't do, holding our family and those systems accountable. But we're not able to like have a mirror and look at self-reflection.
Right.
And so for myself, I just feel that until we're able to do that, we're going to continue to have these infightings. And because people are now, we live in a world, when I first did this, there were not that many at the table.
Right.
It was like me, you, as far as New York goes, me, you, Javon, Kiara, it was a few of us, you know, far in between. My niece Sasha, who rest in peace to her. And so people didn't want to do that. People didn't want to come to meetings and talk about nothing. They got tired of like, it's just boring. But once it became profitable, because I'm going to be truthful, that's when everyone came to the forefront. Once it became easy to get a 501(c) so easily,
right.
It wasn't easy back then, Sean, for us. It was hard for you to get, or so they made us feel like it was hard. And I feel like everyone just gravitated to get one, and it became a hustle for self versus the mission of it being for community and the people. And my work always has to be centered in that.
Right.
Because that's what I get the privilege to come and talk to. My work for myself is the pain of trans community. I've done anti-violence work half of my career. Half of my career was important to the deaths of every Black trans woman. So that when I wake up in the morning and say, I get to go to work and talk about death, that was hard for me to do.
Right.
I know that my work was talking about the pain. And yes, I should be compensated from that, but I still need to always center community in that. And also offer opportunities for others, not harness and hold power, also to teach and relinquish it.
For me, like when we throw that word out there, what does trans leadership look like? I think for me, that and there's no rule book, right?
Right.
And I think that's how the waters get muddied because there's no point A, point B, there's no reference. So people did take leadership in that term and did those very same things that you spoke to. I mean, me coming up, I was able to learn from some very powerful movement builders, and that was you, Cecilia, and you. So I was able to actually determine like what was working as I was growing. Right. And I saw things, and you're right, there are a lot of opportunists that will do things for themselves and not necessarily give it back. And I started to hear language that didn't sound right in rooms when they would be like, you know, as the first. And it became this battle to be the first. I'm the first trans, blase, blah, blah, blah. And while that held weight, it seemed like that was your positionality in the place and that you weren't centered on the room and the community. You know how they say now, read the room. But honestly, I think because there's no rule book and no clear definitions to what determines leadership is why we're in this shit show.
You know, I think part of the issue is that there's so many different leadership styles, right? And we'll bump heads based on how somebody else shows up, right? My style may be, I'm going into the room, I'm shaking the fucking room up. Put me in front of the decision makers, those that they talking money, these contracts, that kind of stuff. Send me in that room. I may not do as well in the street with street activism, right? That may not be my ministry to go and just tear the street up. But I'm effective where I'm at. So you can't say, oh, well, he's not a leader because we're laying our bodies on the line and he's not. And I think we have this challenge because other people think your leadership has to look like their leadership. And if it doesn't, then it's not leadership or it's not effective leadership.
So here's the nuances in that. Leadership looks different for each person, right? Everyone can't be in the same place. I actually truly believe that in order for leadership to work, there needs to be a collective leadership. And we need to build coalitions. Coalitions will be the way to move and build. And not everybody can do the same thing, but you have to be good at what you're good at. We have to be able to combat this on different fronts because this affects us on different fronts. And there's more of us than there. There's more leaders now, like every other day there's a new leader. And for me, I think that can be problematic if they're not guided. But I think for me, the best way that we can understand leadership is by building collective leadership.
Even though leadership has many branches to it. And I think that all branches are necessary and needed. But there's just some things that I feel has to be grounded. Like leadership has to be grounded in the community, grounded in for folks that are mostly directly impacted, moving in, bringing those folks with you and bringing them in the room and sometimes sitting back. It does not always mean you having the mic. It does not always mean you at the table. It does not always, it's loud, it's quiet, it's behind the scenes. It's loaded and centered in care and holistic healing in the process. And also, how's your leadership if the members don't feel safe to come to you or safe around you? It has to be centered in safety. People have to feel safe and vulnerable to come to a leader to confide in the things or to bring it to you. So if community doesn't feel safe around me, how could I be a leader?
So who do we hold accountable, or can we hold folks accountable for that in and of itself, right? That you have a community that you say you represent that may not necessarily feel safe with telling you all of the things that they need within your representation. Because to your point, you represent the community. At this point, it's not about you anymore. It's about the community. So if you represent the community and the community doesn't feel safe to you, whose responsibility is it to go to that person and hold them accountable for the ways in which they made the community feel?
So I think people have a wrong connection to what accountability looks like, right? Accountability always makes it feel like you're doing something wrong, and you may have done something wrong, but it's an opportunity to correct your wrong if done correctly, right? And there are a lot of names that I think people can throw out there of people who need to be held accountable for some shit that they did. But for me, I think what does that accountability actually look like? And if so, I couldn't hold someone over there accountable if I don't have that connection with them. Why are they going to feel obliged to tell me anything or to be accountable by me? So those people need to be held accountable by those closest to them.
So here's my challenge. How do we talk about harm done by leaders in a way that prioritizes healing over cancellation? Because I understand your point. Like, we're looking at accountability through a lens that says you've done something wrong.
Right.
How do we call folks in and say, no, this is a moment for all of us collectively to heal so that we can move on?
Well, I think that for speaking for myself, I think that has always been the problem with anybody trying to have conversation with me, reconcile, hold me accountable, whatever you want to call it, because people call it different things. And I think that whatever it is, I want you to do it in love because I'm bringing love.
Right.
It's not about, oh, I can finally hold her accountable. I've been waiting for the day to throw this ace. It's not that. It's because, hey, I love you enough and I want to come to you with love and care to help fix something, because doing that helps all of us.
Right.
And because I don't want you out here looking crazy and causing harm. I think people hear it as something like, oh, here I come, and then express to be defensive. Oh, you can't hold me accountable. Oh no, we all will be held accountable. Accountability is always, like I said, it's a teaching moment. It's not a punishment. And so we have to steer from cancel culture and lean into love, and how could we address the situation from all prompts. How could I be a better person to help? Because obviously, as well, a lot of the leaders have done bad leadership practices.
Right.
And we have passed them on to people. And then some of the folks that we passed them on to now have mastered it.
Yeah.
And feel like, no, girl, who are you? Because I got the mojo from you, and you mad because it's still, no. And so some of us, even with myself, one of my things I can use in myself is that I've used this practice of like always showing up, never having room to say no.
Right.
Being ashamed to say that I am tired.
Right.
Being ashamed to ask for help. And life happens, and when life happens, it got to a point where my body physically had to stop, and y'all both know that.
Yeah.
And that taught me that I had no choice but to lean on the same folks that I've been showing up with. And it was an incident that happened where I passed out in public, being honest. And Tabytha said, girl, you have to sit down.
Yeah.
You cannot keep showing up like this. This is not conducive. And in that moment, just her telling me that gave me the reassurance that I can sit down.
Yeah.
And then I started seeing when I sat back, folks were stepping up.
Right.
And I like to come in a space where I can say, I can come and just hang out. I ain't got to take the mic. I ain't got to run around and tell you to do gender marker opinions. I got to go triage no trauma. What community just has gotten from the tools I've taught, those are the moments I love.
The reliance on others only comes when you can trust others, right? And if we've already stated that in some of these spaces or rooms, community, and I consider myself community as well, right? I'm a leader, but I'm also a part of the community. And if I'm coming into a space and there are certain people in that space, I'm immediately either going to shut down or leave. Right? So you don't get the benefit of hearing this other voice that has all of this experience, because you've invited folks into a space that have now turned that space toxic, right? And I'll give you an example. I was on a call 2 weeks ago, and then I wasn't going to take the call. I get on the call, and this person, community leader, is also on the call, and they're asking what are the trends that we're seeing, right? And someone, this person, trans woman, comes with this rumor, false, completely false, but brings it to the attention of the elected official that is having the discussion. Now, I'm immediately shut down because I know what you're talking about and I know why you did it. So you've made me uncomfortable, but it also made me feel like in that moment that I had to defend myself. So you didn't come into the community, come into the space and a space of love. You came in there purposely trying to attack me to make yourself look better. That type of leadership is what I want to understand. Like, how do we remove, and I don't even want to say remove, how do we engage with folks when we understand that some are coming with their own agenda, that everybody's not coming in love and light. Some of them are coming in cash rules everything around me and I need some too. And yes, it's a space for you there, but this is not that discussion because we're in a moment that it's like our lives are literally on the line. No one has time for you to go into a discussion with an elected official that's asking us if we feel safe in this moment to bring in some nonsense that you know is nonsense. So how do we then address those folks that are perpetuating this anytime they get an opportunity or a mic?
Well, I know you said not to cancel culture is not good, but some of those people will not change. and sometimes it needs to be eradicated. How you do it is a very tricky thing, right? Because people have a way of, I say, passing the bucket or pissing in the ears of others. So if they gather their people and they're all believing this one thing and they all have the same agenda, this is why it's important that when we see those things, we address it immediately and collectively. See, so if there's a collective trust in community and leaders, we will be able to effectively root that out. But because there's no trust, there's no safety, these things are allowed to happen.
But also I think that accountability also is just not the person. We're all in collective community accountability with each other. And so also I blame the funders who just so willingly bring trans folks together because they think, oh, these are trans folks. They're going to know what decisions to make for the community. Does not mean that you as a funder are absolved from that. Did you do your research? Did you actually go into those institutions and do visits? Did you actually talk to community members within those organizations? How can you give someone a budget of $1 million and they ain't got no building?
And they got one staff.
They ain't got no one staff. Staff ain't got no insurance. That don't make no sense to me. Then as leaders, when we're around the table and you sitting there being quiet or not saying nothing because you have this, and people ain't gonna like me again, have this idea of when they bring it to this space, well, I'm a black trans woman.
There it is.
Well, I'm a black trans man. Or the trans community has it so hard. Yes, that is correct. And I am a black trans woman too. But also I know there is still a way I need to bring to the table professionalism. There is a certain way I need to come to the table. I can't live in my trauma forever. I choose to use my trauma to channel my trauma for change, to channel my trauma and my story to help someone else deliver them out of it. If I got to keep throwing my trauma on the table all the time for a buck, then how am I coming out of my trauma? And how am I able to lead with trauma?
But some of them don't.
Two of them don't go together.
But some of them don't want to come out of trauma because trauma is the bag for them. Trauma is what's getting them a couple of dollars. So I'm going to sit in it because the next time this situation arises, I can position myself and you're going to come talk to me and hopefully that produces a couple of dollars. But I think it also goes back to unlearning behaviors, right? And I think, Tabytha, you were the one that spoke about it, that we're giving these behaviors to the younger generation. And I've had young people say to me, oh, well, I'm not going to do that much work for that little bit of money. Or I'm not going to show up like that because what you mean? No, I'm not doing that. But that's your job. And they immediately believe that just showing up black and trans or brown and trans or trans is enough.
That's a larger conversation. That's a very loaded conversation as well. And it takes a lot of unlearning systematics and systems that have played on us for so long that keep us divisive. Like you said, the funders, right? So they keep us in competition with each other. So we already feel like my trauma and what I'm doing supersedes what you're doing. And there's a level of entitlement that comes with that. That's why they say they won't do that. One of the things I used to say, and they're gonna, people got mad at me, is we can't weaponize our gender. Because in this climate right now, that's not even gonna matter. Right? If we're talking honestly, we're heading for some dark times, and we got to be able to build together and collectively work together to build these coalitions. Because when your gender is no longer access to a job or a space that you feel safe, you're going to need those same people, those same tables that you brought your trauma to. You're going to need those same people who you said wasn't doing the work. You're going to have to lean on your elders then. Because the time that we're facing right now, you got to have some tools. And it's better that we work together than divisive.
Right.
That's such a large conversation, but it has to begin with us. It has to begin collectively, and we have to come to the table in love.
Oftentimes I'll sit and try to figure out what spaces there is black trans leadership, right? And I often draw a blank. Now I know the amazing work that we all do, each one of us individually, but as a movement, right? What does black trans leadership look like as a movement? Does it exist? And if so, what models do we have that we can kind of like? Because I'm looking at it and I don't see, or maybe I'm wrong.
No,
Maybe I'm a little jaded.
I don't think you're wrong. Honestly, you said we're gonna talk.
We gonna talk.
I think the POC thing kind of desensitized the harm that Black trans people actually live with. And when we continue to be the only culture that is so fostered and being so inclusive, and we gotta be so inclusive, but when you see other groups of people, either they're non-Black or non-trans, they are more organized and they don't really care about what you're doing. They don't need to be inclusive because they're prioritizing ourselves.
Right.
What I actually think is that we need to get back to prioritizing ourselves and beginning to work together. If you can identify two, build with that two until we can actually find more.
That's why y'all here.
Yeah, well, thank you.
That's my two.
We need to find some more.
My two right here.
Okay.
We need to find some more. Oh my God.
I think that's like where it starts. I think that's why it's hard to start, because people think it has to be like this long manual or a shopping list of things. Just start with one little thing at a time.
Yeah.
You move 2 people today, work with them 2 people for 2 months. Eventually, it will go to 4 people. If your leadership is modeled this way, and the people that you work with or you are around, you're influencing, trust me, they will bring it where they need to take it.
I think it did us a disservice, right? And in some ways, I think using people of color is in fact anti-Black, right? Because Black folks, to your point, there are different things that we need, and right, and different reasons why we need it. And I think lumping it all together does not give you the full scope of what it is we need, why we need it in the moment that we're in now. So I don't use people of color.
In most categories of people of color, those folks are so anti-Black towards us. So how we in a group together when the bigger, larger POC folks can't stand Black folks?
Yeah.
And we have
Say
to
that.
name it. They can't stand Black folks.
That
And
part-
But they lean into people of color when it's advantageous for
Correct.
them, right? Those same folks that have the perception or they have this proximity to whiteness, they'll lean into that whiteness when they need to, and oftentimes is at our detriment. And I think when we talk about leadership, the leadership that we've gotten an opportunity to see being trans people, does not look like us,
Not
right?
anymore.
So if we're taking a backseat in this movement, when most of the ills that happen within community are happening to Black trans people, right, or non-binary people, you've already allowed them to take the narrative yet again and frame what the answer should be, even knowing that those answers don't satisfy what Black folks need. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
And also people will opt into these historical figures for gain too, right? We live in a very vain and superficial world. And the LGBT community are the most vainest, and we're the vainest of the vain. We're gonna be real. And I always crack up when I first used to come in the movement, and now everyone uses Marsha as this badge of honor. And I'm like, if she was alive
If she
today,
was alive, y'all wouldn't have paid her
y'all,
no
when I
attention.
spoke to her, y'all would have paid her no mind, as she even said. Y'all would call her a brick. Y'all would call her not real enough. Y'all would do all these things, but because she's made history and that helps you get in the room and you get some money from it, she's everybody's everything now. But the reality of it is, there's a Marsha and Sylvia, I see them all across the country, that you ignore, that you don't help,
that you make fun
that
of.
you make fun of.
Say that.
And so, like, how can you speak those names if they're around you and you don't do the same?
Right.
Every time a trans woman dies, we have all our community putting these rest in peace up, or, oh my gosh, I can't believe that's happening. Guess you should do that. But if there's a trans person that's alive today, that you pay nooch to nada,
Yeah.
that you won't even invest in help today for that not be her fate. So really, where is your liberation really at if it's just performative?
Yeah, most of it's performative. My last question, what legacy do you hope your leadership will leave behind?
I just want to develop a group of youth that would tear policy up and continue to protect us. Someone who will be able to dismantle and rebuild and shape a world according to how we see fit, that includes us and our divine right and access to equity, health, and wellness, and just be able to thrive.
So you want the babies to come in and shake the tables?
That's right.
Kick
I mean,
them
that's what
over. Well, we
leadership
shook
look
them.
like.
Now it's time to kick them over.
Yeah, well, listen, they could cook them over. I want them to dismantle it and break it down and rebuild. And they on the right way. This youth is more self-assured than we ever were. They got a lot of tools, and it's time that we build them up.
Lala?
For myself, I just want everything that I've done in my life for someone to say, I want to take that to the next level. I want to be able to do anything I want because she has showed me that she has done anything that she wants. I am blessed to be a possibility model, but I want people to take it beyond and do it while you're young. Don't wait as long as I wait. I think a lot of us have waited so long, and then now it seems like, ooh, I popped into my greatness. Like, no, if you're young, take it now. And also in this climate, if I can leave any advice, I'm from an old era. And so I think this young generation was birthed due to our work. Yeah. Where they're spoiled. So you go like everybody, let's name it. Everyone's being crazy about IDs, and yes, I get it. But honey, I had many jobs with a dead name, and you still was gonna respect it while you was coming through McDonald's. No, it's Miss Burger, not Miss Mama. And so it's not what they call you, it's how you take it. And so I think in this moment, we need to know that we're gonna lose some fights. Yeah. Hard ones. In this moment, we're gonna have to do some unconventional things that we ain't gonna wanna do. Yeah. But we must be persistent and keep moving the needle until the opportunity comes for us to shift, and that's when we storm and do it. But don't let this break you, because, I can't do nothing, because now the girl's going to say, I can't do nothing because of my ID. Yep. It's at that ID. Show up still as yourself, because you still got to eat, you still got to survive. All this stuff is to try to strip away who you are. If they know you're going to run away just because of a name change or because of lack of health care, we've been doing this before. Long time before. So we need to know those people who survived that to learn from it. And we got to stop this silver spoon mentality, because if it's a silver platter coming, half of y'all, it's like the food stamp office, it's a long name, long list to get there. And you know the food stamps is about to stop anyway. But I just think that we got to be real in the situation that we're in. I think we have to just be honest about it, get back to community resources, doing for each other. Yeah. We know that they're going to freeze our assets. They know they're going to stop us out of systems. They know that we're going to have to create our own. So it's a time for us to get together. Like I always say, this community has too many resources to be like, what are we going to do? Yeah. I know too many doctors, lawyers, educate. In this community, you give me a list of names, I can put a name by it. Yeah. I can find it. So why we have to keep going across the street? We have to stop infighting with each other. That's what has to happen. And build our legacy together.
Right there.
So I do this segment called Useful Idiot.
What a name.
I'm trying to figure that out. Explain it.
Useful Idiot is someone, a person, people that believe they're doing the right thing, right? They have the right motive, but they don't realize that they're actually being used by the people or the politician or whomever that political space is. Who would you consider a useful idiot? And you don't have to use names if you want to use a reference, but useful idiot.
In the community?
It can be whomever. Oh. We don't got to stick to our, but
you just want a name.
No, I was not.
Yes, you was. You was going to go all out. You said we talking shit, right?
I was really trying to
ready to go
in a different direction.
No. I mean, one thing I will say, if anybody is, speaking, especially from our Democratic Party, I'll go there. I need y'all to stop getting in front of that news, talking about what y'all gonna fight and what y'all gonna do and how horrible this is, and actually do what we elect you to do and protect the people. Mm-hmm. There is no way that any Democrat, anytime, any vote, I don't want to hear we ain't got no votes. I don't care. I'd rather have y'all vote no all day and a whole bunch of yeses from Republicans. The fact that some of y'all are still putting yes votes in for bad practices shows me that many of you are not there because you're a Democrat, because you couldn't cut it on a Republican ticket. And so you use our party to help advance your little future agenda. I need our Democrats in office to really stand for the people. Yeah. And do something. Stop sliding, stop doing all this stuff, because we have to live those decisions. Right. And we elect you there. We sent you. Never forget that. We sent you to do the work. A lot of people keep using 47 to hide behind, particularly in the LGBTQ movement. I'm seeing so much that everyday people I used to hang out with or just be in spaces like, no, you can't use 47. You are just like him. It's just now you ain't got to hide it no more.
Yeah.
And it's not loud racism. It's not loud anti-blackness. It's subtly done. You know, like, it's so, and they sit in the back. I'm going to let 47 do everything, and I'm just going to sit in the background, and then it can be the excuse why I couldn't do nothing.
Yeah.
It seems like that is going on.
So, some of the Democratic Party are the useful idiots.
I'll pass.
You pass on useful idiot? I mean, you got a good one. You just don't want to say.
Really?
I mean, you
I
got a
just
good
think
one.
that, you know.
No, give it
I
up.
can't.
Yes, you can. I want one.
So you use Democrats.
Don't overthink it, just whatever.
So you use Democrats, I'm going to use influencers.
Okay.
I think a lot of people have a lot of misconception between leaders and influencers. I think leaders can have influence, right? I think sometimes you can hire a useful idiot to do leadership work, and because they have the influence and they're good at yelling into the void, and we're looking at algorithms and all those things that actually have no real impact, I think that's like a useful idiot. If you can get to those idiots and you can actually pour some good teachings into them and help them learn to advocate in right ways, that could be useful. But I think that there are a lot of people, because media controls a lot of narratives about us.
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes when you're having people speak into an experience that is not theirs, that can be problematic.
I truly believe we have a lot of useful idiots within our community, and I think it becomes our responsibility to kind of identify who those players are, and one of you said it earlier that we need to vet a little better, right? When those contract managers or elected officials or whomever are looking to figure out who they want to invite in the room, that those folks are not necessarily included, because they know that they're not coming in with solutions or really trying to figure out how we unpack this problem and what we should do. It's they're coming in to create chaos, right? The situation that I spoke about that happened 2 weeks ago, useful idiot, because you came in there thinking that you were going to shake the room up, or you were going to create this discord, right, that was going to stop me or someone else from getting what they needed, when what you could have done was stop the entire space from getting what they need. In that space, it was bigger than Sean and Destination Tomorrow. It was about the entire trans community and what safety looks like for us. And you chose that moment to try to create chaos.
Who is the useful idiot?
She know who she is. All right, so. Okay, y'all.
Wait, I just want to say one thing though before we go. Wait, just I'm gonna put a pin in it. This is what leaders with influencers do.
Right.
They create their own venues and own opportunities to center the voices of those who are close to the heartbeat of what needs to be done. So thank you for your leadership and having this space. And with this influences, I hope that those who are listening take something from this and continue to be great leaders. Because I'm a leader.
But I'm a leader, damn it. Thank you for joining me in this episode of Collateral Damage. I almost said of useful idiots. But
No!
if you want to know who my useful idiot is, follow me on the socials and on my YouTube page. This is Collateral Damage, and we are out.